Alright, so good morning once again. This is another episode of the Shades of Dominion, the WAYYYYYCIST cards. In other words, the fun cards that you all want to play, that Magic the Gathering has just said, fuck you, we don't want you to have fun. So, in the Shades of Dominion, we are bringing them back in spectacular fashion, and in today's episode, we have Crusade, which is once again a character aspect. Now, for those of you who are keeping track of this process, global enchantments are not spells that you cast from your library. These are, in fact, they're active effects that you carry on your character like you would in a Dungeons and Dragons feat. These are things that your character has on them at all times. They can be deactivated and reactivated, but they focus more on a feat-like function, as a passive ability. So they're not spells that rest in your library. These are things that your character has on them at all times. So this is a character aspect, and we're going to explore what this card does. But so let's look at the actual function of the card. What is the effect? It says purity creatures get +1/+1. So in the Shades of Dominion, how this would be translated is Purity Shade Summons get +1 power and +1 toughness. Now, now we're going to adjust this to say Purity Shade Summons in combat. Get +1 power and +1 toughness, because that is what is fair and right. So, that's what this character aspect does. Now, like before, we have to go over what are the qualifications of this card, which means we have to do converted mana cost. Now, we have in front of us, it's not an older card, so we don't have to necessarily search too deeply for its rarity. We can see from this printing that it is a rare. And just for those of you who are curious, the Law of Common. Law of Common works as follows. Uncommon is multiplied by 1.5. Rare is multiplied by times 2. Mythic is times by, I think it's 2 again. Let me double check that. Let me double check this. Okay, I was mistaken. So we're going to edit that live. The Law of Common says that it is 1.5. Now, for those of you, so to help you understand, common, obviously there is no change, so it's times 1. The uncommon is a common times 1.5. Rare is uncommon times 2, and mythic is the rare times by 1.5. That's the Law of Common. So we know that the converted shade cost is going to be a rare, so it's going to be 3. 3 times 2. So we're going to have a converted shade cost of 6. Very simple. Very, very easy. Not complicated, not any way, shape, or form. The Law of Common is a law in the Shades of Dominion, so that when you go to convert something, you have your shade costs accommodated for the actual power level of the game, and things don't spiral out of control, because in Magic the Gathering, power creep is a real thing. So we have to account for that with the Shades of Dominion, especially since very popular cards will want to be used. So that's what we want to do. We want to provide a genuine experience. We want to balance that power level, and we do that through the Law of Common. So the converted shade cost is going to be 6, and that's okay. Now, for the character attributes, or the qualifications, the prerequisites, as we did with Invoke Prejudice, what we're going to do is what are the qualifications? So what are the attributes? So in purity we have light, we have order, and we have protection. Protection. I can spell, guys. I swear to you, I can spell. Now, whether or not I can type, completely different story. Alright, so we have the effect is Shade Summons Purity Shade Summons in combat get +1 power and +1 toughness. We have the attributes of light, order, and protection. Now, this, I'll be perfectly honest, because it affects all Purity Shade Summons instead of just your own, we can presume that this is going to be a light attribute. So, we're going to put this at a... See, this is one of those things where the Shades of Dominion, you can get this at a 6. And for those of you who aren't aware, when you go to character creation for the Shades of Dominion, 6 is starter level. Like, you can start with this character aspect. You can start with this ability, with this passive ability. And so this is actually a really good card that if you wanted to bring into the game, you could right at the start. I'm actually really excited that I did this video, because this is something that you can bring into the game if you properly converted it, and you can start playing with it immediately. As opposed to things that are more powerful, like Invoke Prejudice, and it's Invoke Prejudice has such a powerful effect, and it's converted mana cost, it's converted shade cost, its attribute requirements are so much higher that the average player wouldn't have access to it at the beginning. It's something you would have to build up to. You have to build your knowledge in certain attributes. You'd have to increase your shade capacity to be able to activate it. That kind of thing is common, but for this particular one, you will be able to start with this. This is a character aspect that you can start with, and that you would be able to bring to the dice table, to the Shades of Dominion roleplay table from the get-go. So go ahead and play with Crusade. It is more than feasible, and I welcome everyone to do it. It's especially if you're playing an all-white party, or if you have like a party where all of the Shade Mages are from the same purity environment, the same kind of the same kind of clan, if you will, the same kind of tribe. If you wanted to create a Shade Mage party where all of them have this Crusade aspect, and every time they summon a creature that gets these massive bonuses, yes, you can do that in the Shades of Dominion, and we encourage you to try. Now, because it's easy to access, I'm gonna add a dynamic to this where we're going to explore what are some potential drawbacks of taking this purity character aspect. We're going to do that. We're going to explain to you what the consequences could be for taking this particular aspect. And let me see if we have any good examples. So we did say this was a light aspect, and it does have and it is a shade summon aspect. It does focus on your shade summons, and that has its own particular category. And right now, the category that is used in that category of shade summoning aspects in the light attribute, there's a shade affliction attached to it called. It actually doesn't have a name. It's just the following: you must always immediately avenge the death of your shade summons. Now, in this particular group, in this particular aspect, in this particular party, this imaginary party of a clan of purity mages, wink, wink, nod, nod, you might have a sincere belief as a group that these shade summons you're summoning are indeed angelic beings who are beyond comprehension and beyond reproach. And the destruction of one of them could throw all of you into a bloodlusting frenzy. And this is something that would be fantastic to roleplay, because you have the shade affliction that says you must immediately avenge their deaths. Not death. You must immediately avenge the death of these shade summons. And why you would do that, well, we're going to leave that up to the players. We're going to leave that up to the tribe of purity shade mages who all have this shade aspect for whatever reason, and decided that they're going to go back and absolute curb stomp whatever evil Xenos they come across, because they're not xenophobic. They're just on a crusade. They're enforcing the will of God, as it were. And so this is the Crusade enchantment card, the WAYYYYYCIST collection, and this is how you would play it in the Shades of Dominion. And you can pick it up right at the start with no apologies. And that's it. That is how you would translate this particular card, and from an enchantment to a character aspect. And the uses of this character aspect can be party-wide, and such shenanigans are included. And the Shade Master will have a lot of fun messing with you. That's it, guys. Stay carnal and God bless. Oh, I mean, throw some shade. Bye.